Hello and welcome to another edition of Cultural Conversations with the Big South. I'm Darius Thigpen. Joining us today are a pair of student athletes who are very talented, and they have made a very tangible impact off the field in the Big South. From Gardner-Webb, the Black Student Association president, pre-Law Society president, and she was president of the Gardner-Webb Student Athlete Advisory Committee for the 2019-2020 scholastic year, and she's a returning leading scorer for the women's lacrosse team. Taylin Francis, thank you for joining us, Taylin.
Thank you for having me.
And joining us from Charleston Southern, a senior from the women's soccer team. She's majoring in criminology with a minor in political science, and she was inspired by one of my favorite athletes, the GOAT, Serena Williams, to stand up for racial justice. She is Kayla Robinson. Kayla, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so first off, let's go ahead and get this out the way. It's been a weird off season. It's going to be a weird fall. A lot of things to kind of get used to, getting back on campus and getting into a new routine. So Kayla, starting off with you, how are things going in North Charleston, getting used to this new routine that you guys are going to have to go through in the middle of this pandemic?
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I mean, our student athletes have been all over the place, but it's definitely nice to come back and we join together and start our athletics going. Unfortunately, COVID has stopped that briefly, but we're definitely going to get it going soon. So I'm very excited to see what happens in the future.
And Taylor, I can't imagine. I mean, same thing for you. It's got to be a little bit weird being back in Boiling Springs and not having the same kind of energy that you would normally see around campus.
Right. I mean, it's been a little bit of an adjustment. Right now we're going through like phases. So we find out, what we're doing for the week. Every week it's a new thing. But I'm just glad to be back with the team and to be getting into some type of routine, even if it isn't very consistent week to week. But I'm glad to be back too.
Well, there have been a number of things that student athletes, professional athletes have done to kind of keep in touch, whether it's been Zoom calls, doing TikTok challenges, sending emails, FaceTime, whatever it may be, using electronic ways to stay in touch and constant communication with each other during all of this. But I kind of want to also focus on what things SAC has done to kind of be that shoulder to lean on for student athletes. Taylor, I'll start with you. Has there been like anything that SAC has done, just kind of being there for you guys that you felt during the off season, which again had to be pretty bizarre for you?
Yeah, just being involved in SAC really helped out because we had a lot of conference calls throughout the summer. So being able to know like what was going on with our seasons and other sports seasons was gave a sense of security to be able to be a part of those conversations.
And Kayla, what has SAC kind of meant for you during the summer and transitioning into the fall?
Definitely what she said, it's nice to like talk on Zoom and stuff and plan stuff about what's going on in the world and just be able to communicate and just talk about classes and sports. It's definitely more comforting than it is to be, by yourself, just trying to think about it.
So, all right, one of the big reasons, let's get into it. One of the big reasons the two of you were asked to be here as part of this conversation today. You both were at your universities a part of SAC-led virtual 5Ks. 5Ks that raise money for organizations dedicated to improving local communities and specifically fighting the effects of racism. And it's fantastic to see how many student athletes are leading the charge, taking the initiative. So Kayla, starting with you, I saw on Charleston Southern's SAC's Instagram page, it looked like pretty much every team was represented, and it was a student-led event for the 5K back on July 18th. Could you give us an idea how many people were involved in the 5K and kind of how everyone went about it, whether it was running on their own, running in groups, who all participated?
So basically we had different sports doing it all, around CSU's campus. And then we had parents, families doing it, which really helped to get everyone involved. People would walk, jog, bike, whatever it was they could, just to, raise awareness about what we needed to do.
Yeah, and it really is good to see that you guys had that event. I mean, what other things are kind of happening at Charleston Southern? Whether it's like talking to teammates or talking to coaches. What else can you tell us about how Charleston Southern and just maybe within your inner circle, like how this 5K and everything else going on in the world is kind of impacting you?
So basically, I've noticed that we need to do more to support awareness for racial injustices. So me and my teammates are just taking a stand to do more for the school, in a sense, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to start a club for Black student athletes to talk about what's going on, have real conversations, and kind of just bring everyone together to show that our Black student athletes and everyone else, obviously, supports Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned that fact that it's not just the Black student athletes, but it's really everyone. When we had Al on last week, he said the same thing, that it's not just a you problem or a him problem or a her problem. It's something that all of us need to work together on. So, I mean, are you feeling encouraged by having your teammates who seem to have your back?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling encouraged. I had a conversation with my coaches earlier in the week about the plans that we're going to do and changes that we're going to make on our campus, and everyone seems to be very supportive of this decision, and everyone's just excited to get on board.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, especially that you have that support. Switching over to Gardner Webb. So when I was looking at kind of how everything went with the Gardner Webb setup, I saw that it was BSA that kind of initiated and worked with SAC kind of hand in hand. So Taylor, for you, being a student athlete, having been the SAC president, and then of course being a part of BSA, you're kind of in the middle of it on both sides to the good. So how did that process go, getting everything set up for your 5K?
Yeah, so I really have to applaud the soccer team. Gabby Brickes, it was her idea. The soccer team had conversations within their team and discussed like what ways they could help. And Gabby Brickes was like, I think we should have a virtual 5K. And so Kylie Amers, a part of the SAC board, brought it to our attention, and we were just like, let's do it right now. And so we just got working, and we got in contact with the school and our athletic director and a few other administrators on campus, and we got it together. And then the proceeds ended up going to BSA, which was so helpful for our club because it allows us to do more things on campus, which is like hold meetings. We want to start a backpack program for the Cleveland County schools and get like products on campus and a few other things we have going on in the works. But the fundraiser was so helpful for our program.
So for you then, being the BSA president, you obviously mentioned a couple of the initiatives that you already have in mind of what you all plan to do with the money raised from the 5K. And you were saying before we had this conversation that the BSA is pretty new at Gardner Webb, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's really started picking up my freshman year. It used to be called Mode, and then after a few years, we tried to work with the Dean of Students to change the name to Black Student Association. So it's more clear to the students on campus, like what we're about and who we're trying to support. So it's roughly 4 years that it's been around.
And it's certainly good to hear that there's a big boost coming from that 5K. Kayla, coming back to you, you raised money for an organization called Metanoia, a faith-based community improvement organization. What can you tell us about Metanoia and what they do, what their impact could be from the money that you all raised for them?
So basically, Metanoia is an organization that helps communities build leaders, establish housing, and create economic development in more poor communities. So our money that went to them just basically helped to get like
It's really money that's going straight back into the community. It's not like they're going to take it and you don't know where it goes. You know exactly that it's going to be taken to help people, right?
Yes.
And that certainly is a good thing to see with that. Did you know about Metanoia before this 5K and before kind of getting into this?
Well, we knew that we were going to get involved with this organization.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I haven't heard a lot about them, but I'm excited that we got to do this for them because, obviously this means a lot for them because they can better themselves with our support and everything.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of want to get at that you all have been promoting at Charleston Southern, a lot of the student athletes in the pages, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, have gone behind a slogan, a motto, "We choose love." Can you just kind of tell me in your own words what that phrase has meant to you and what it kind of means for the student athletes and for the university?
Mm-hmm. So basically, the Charleston Southern football team started the hashtag We Choose Love, and they basically wrote up a whole paragraph about how they support Black Lives Matter and just talking about different people who have been very affected by what's been going on. So we just kind of took it and just blew it up. Like we tried to just make it known to everyone that we choose love over hate. That's basically like the main point of what we're trying to get across.
And that really is a fantastic message to have.
Yeah.
Right. So one thing that we also have to, of course, acknowledge, just recently on August 23rd, we had another stark reminder of why efforts like the two of you are leading are so crucial, with the shooting of Jacob Blake, the video that came out, and then the pain that's followed in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's also been a summer where we've seen such high profile instances with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. So it's a lot to have to deal with, of course. So Kayla, I'm going to start with you. When it comes to having these conversations that are around a 400+ year struggle, when you talk to teammates, when you talk to people who might be uncomfortable and not know how to address it, how do you kind of take those conversations? How do they usually go for you?
So I have had conversations with my teammates a lot and my friends a lot, and basically we're just trying to educate them on Black culture and Black history and show them that we are good people. We are the same. I mean, technically we're the same race, and there's no reason to divide each other.
Now, Taylor, coming to you, this has been a very pointed time for you as well, being the president of BSA. So I know that you all led a protest, a march on campus just recently. How did that come into fruition? What was the planning around that, and how did it go?
So I have a few friends on the University of Tennessee's campus, and they had posted on their stories that they wanted us to march with them to stand for the institutionalized racism that was going on their campus and in the world. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I used our platform for BSA. We posted on our social media, and had such a great turnout. It was a really raw experience that we had. And then off of that, a few football players were inspired by that. Darian Reynolds and Donnie Thompson, they did a great job organizing another protest on Monday. And they brought in a lot of great speakers and had the president speak. And again, it was another moving moment where we just walked around campus, saying chants and raising awareness for what was going on in our community.
And this is really impressive that the both of you are using your platform, using your voice to speak up. It really is impressive to see the race against racism, the 5K, all of it. And this falls in line with what the Big South Conference is looking to do with its anti-racism initiatives, whether it goes from student athlete town halls, or there's an anti-racism task force that's been put together. Jen Fry, she's been speaking to some of the SAC leadership. Then, of course, this very video series that we're doing, this is all part of the Big South's efforts. So one other component is the voting aspect. So November 3rd is a non-athletic day, so it's an off day for you all. You're going to be encouraged to go vote if you haven't already by that point. So Taylor, I'm going to start with you. Now, you come from Kennesaw, Georgia, right outside Atlanta. We saw during the primary voting season, it was a bit of a mess with the whole voting structure. Of course, in the middle of a pandemic, it's not going to go smoothly. You had long lines, you had machine layoffs. So waiting for voting day seems like it might be something that is not the best idea. So in addition to just going out and voting, are you kind of talking about going and voting early, kind of having done your research before it comes down to November 3rd? What's kind of the message that you guys are having at Gardner Webb?
So at Gardner Webb, right now, BSA is teaming up with our diversity head, and we're going to get voter registration on campus. So it's easier for students to access that. And then if that's, hard for those people, we're going to also try absentee ballots. That's something that I registered for because I know that, again, it's going to be hard with all the voting. But whenever people get discouraged about voting and who they should be voting for and whatever things along those lines, you always have to remember that, our community fought so hard for us to have this chance and this opportunity to vote. So I always say, just exercise your right that was fought for.
Kayla, coming to you, Charleston Southern, what's kind of the messaging been around getting ready to vote for upcoming election? Do you know if your entire team is registered to vote? How many student athletes are?
A majority of our student athletes are registered to vote. We, like Taylor said, we do have voter registration booths on campus, and we voiced that it was very important to start voting.
So Kayla, one other thing when it comes to kind of the voter registration and getting everyone ready to go, have you kind of thought about when you would want to vote? Are you going to go and vote on election day, vote early? What's kind of your thought around it?
So for me, I am out of state, so I'm doing the absentee ballot. So I will send my vote in through mail whenever that time period comes around.
And you're both out of state. Taylor, you coming from Georgia. Kayla, you coming from Pennsylvania, a long way from home, down in South Carolina. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation to this point. Taylor and Kayla, I really do appreciate the time that each of you have taken out to speak on everything that's going on. It's fantastic to see how the 5Ks have gone and what awareness that they've raised. So this is kind of the spot where I want to kind of throw the floor to you and kind of let you take the conversation where you want to go with it. Taylor, is there anything that's kind of sitting on your heart that you want to say, or any organization on campus that you want to promote, anyone you want to kind of give a shout out to?
So I want to give a shout out to Ashley Robinson, Damian Williams, Christian Wright, Tremaine Booker, Jaden Newton, and Jayla Middlebrook. That's the BSA board. We put in a lot of work this year and last year to talk with faculty and everyone on campus. And another shout out to my coaches. They've been so supportive throughout this process. But the only message that I would say is that this fight for equality is not just a one thing. It's not just a vote or just one protest or one meeting, one conversation. It's a daily thing that happens every day, every week, every month.
Beautifully said. Kayla, coming to you. What is kind of on your mind? What would you like to say, or who would you like to show some love to kind of give them a platform in this moment?
So I just want to show love to my two roommates, Kylie Doster and Kat Klingsmith. They both kind of helped me and pushed me to start a Black student athlete club just to talk about, what's been going on. I mean, I want to give a shout out to my coaches and Hannah Allison, who is our media person. She's helped me a lot in this process, and I'm very, very excited for the future because I'm just realizing that I have a lot of support behind me. And I realized that together we can change something and just make the future just better for just student athletes in general.
And I guess one other question I kind of have for the both of you that I didn't really get into, how your majors factor into where you are right now. Kayla, you criminology, right?
Yep.
Taylor, political science, or are you still, is it law that specifically?
Yeah, I'm double majoring in political science and psychology.
Right. So for Taylor, I'll start with you then. How does your formal education kind of factor into everything that you're working on right now?
Right. So the political science aspect of it really helps me just realize how the government works, how people interact with each other. And then psychology helps me understand the individual person, and it helps me reach out to those people who maybe, might need more conversation and more understanding about everything that's going on with social equality. It's good to know people's background and how they think and how they move to help connect with them.
So plans after graduation, going straight into law school?
Yeah, so hopefully I'm planning on taking a 5th year, and then I'm going to go to law school right after.
It's fantastic. Kayla, criminology, what's kind of your thought after graduating? What direction do you want to go in?
So right now I want to be a state trooper. I do not have any family in the military. It was kind of just my own decision because I feel that as a Black athlete who's a woman, I could definitely make a change in the future. And that's what I want to see. Like, yes, police brutality is a part of it. It's also racism. But from my point of view, I think that the justice system does need a change. And I'm just hoping that I can be a part of that.
Coming at it from the legal side of things and from the law enforcement side of things, I mean, you two definitely need to stay in contact with each other as we go throughout the rest of our lives, the rest of your two careers. Again, it's been fantastic having you on. So I guess it comes to me now for the one organization I'm going to shout out. So I'm going to shout out the Black Play-by-Play Broadcasters Fund. They have set up an incredible organization. I've kind of helped a little bit with it, but it's been all Adam Giardino to put this together. Scholarship for young Black play-by-play broadcasters, specifically baseball, but other sports as well. I mean, as you can tell, there's not a ton of Black play-by-play talent. I can tell you that from my experience, there aren't a ton of us. So I really appreciate what Adam has done there, raising funds to kind of help guys and girls who are coming out of school and get them started see more men and women in play-by-play, Black men and women in play-by-play specifically. It's fantastic. Visit blackpxpfund.com for more information. I appreciate both of your time. You two have been fantastic. Having you two Black women leading this, it's been an absolute honor to talk to you. And that's going to do it for this edition of Cultural Conversations with the Big South. Again, Taylor, Kayla, thank you both so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.